YouTube Ozic going the Goat House is back. NFC East record predictions for you guys today. Recently did AFC East. We're going to go division by division here. Twitter subscribers, if you subscribe on Twitter, you will get the best and worst case record predictions for every single team as well, plus bonus content. Check out our Twitter. Check out our other videos. Like, subscribe to notifications on any link you're looking for pinned in the comment section. Starting with the Philadelphia Eagles. 12-5 is what I got for the 2023 season, so not quite the 14 wins from last year. The schedule is very tough, but I do think it's a very talented team. Obviously, it could be the heavyweight of the NFC, so I still have the 12 wins here for the Philadelphia Eagles. The tough part, or the good part is I like how the schedule starts. They definitely should be starting with a streak of wins. And that's great too, because could there be a little bit of an adjustment period when it comes to losing their coordinators? I'm not super. I mean, Steichen was maybe the better of the coordinators actually over Gannon, but I'm not really too worried about offense because Sirianni's got an offensive background, obviously, and I think Hurts could be in the position to kind of lead now, kind of take over. And that'll be a big question this year. Can he play just as good? Can he play better? Can he kind of take more control here if he has to going forward? Pretty optimistic about that. But yeah, I thought honestly Steichen may be the better of the coordinators that they lost from last year, but I think Gannon could end up being a bigger loss actually, just because. Well, yeah, Sirianni could run that offense, of course. Hurts could run that offense, but I thought Gannon did a really good job last year calling that defense. They brought in some new pieces to kind of adjust it, change that defense a little bit last year, and it worked really, really well. So Sean Desai, a little bit up in the air on how what he'll be able to do, but the talent on the defense is ridiculous. But yeah, can a unique player like Hassan Reddick play as well as he did last year? What does Desai have up his sleeves, for players like that? They have unique players everywhere, but they have talent everywhere. Yeah, maybe you do worry about like the safety group. I thought Gannon did a really good job, keeping several guys back in coverage. We saw a lot of cover 6 from them last year, while we saw like so many guys in so many different zones sometimes where it's like, how do they do that? So I do think a lot of that was the cornerbacks being very good, and they still are very good, but how well the defense was called last year. So that's really the only thing. Can they repeat last year? How will it be with the different defensive coordinator, different offensive play calling as well? But still a very, very talented team. Could Hurts even take a step up? Could A.J. Brown in his second year take another step up? Second year with this team, I should say, take another step up. So they should be a very good team. The schedule's pretty tough. I like the way it starts. I got 12-5 for them. And then if you're a subscriber on Twitter, you get the best and worst case scenario. It is a very tough schedule, though. So I don't expect them to be a rangy team. And what I mean about that is I don't think there's a huge range on how many they can win and how many they can lose. I think it's pretty tight. They should be in this range somewhere. Not really expecting the 15-win season, of course, with them, but they're very talented. So I guess you can't say 0% chance. For the Dallas Cowboys, I actually have the same thing, 12-5. I think this will be a battle for this division this year, and we'll get to my who wins each division and my playoff round by round and predictions along with Super Bowl predictions when I get through the record predictions. But last year I did have preseason the Eagles winning division. This year I'm a little more 50-50 here. The Cowboys, I liked what they did this offseason. Adding Brandon Cooks, adding Stephon Gilmore. I mean, those are big pieces. They're bigger than maybe how they look even, because I think those are kind of like the last piece of the puzzle for those position groups. So that's big time for the Dallas Cowboys. And getting Dan Quinn back, keeping Dan Quinn, I should say, is huge. I think that defense is going to be nuts. I think the defense it has been good. I think it's going to be ridiculous this year. I think it's going to be top 3. I think they're kind of built, and it's a similar regular season, 12-5. It's going to be somewhat similar. I think they're kind of putting themselves in a position to maybe get over the hump in the playoffs. So maybe a little more prepared, a little more built for the postseason now. How much, though, is the question. But I think the defense could be top 3. Micah Parsons going to play even more off the edge. We saw it. He actually played more linebacker year one, a little bit more than year two. It was like 90% off the edge, and now it's supposed to be 100%. And I think they can get away with that. I think, linebackers like Clark and Overshown, he's going to be a rookie, but it's a guy I was a big fan of. I think Dan Quinn will use him right. And I wasn't a huge Mozzie Smith guy. It was a little early according to my board, but it was kind of like the piece they were missing, and he's going to help them. He's going to help them in there. So defense going to be really good. Offense, I'm excited about. Brandon Cooks, CeeDee Lamb could take a step up. I thought he took a step up like during the year, last year, early year. It was kind of, dropping the ball a bit, so I thought he took a step up as the year went on. Michael Gallup maybe can get back on track here. I mean, losing Dalton Schultz is tough, but they'll get the most out of their tight ends. It's just that type of system. Tony Pollard needs to be healthy. I would like for them to pick up another running back, but I actually like where the offensive line's at. They got talent. Durability is the concern, but I think they got pretty good depth right now as well. And they hit with, last year's draft, obviously, with Tyler Smith, and having him being able to start at guard or even start at tackle, fill in at tackle if you need him to. So, and then looking at last year too, Dak, turning the ball over a bit. I don't, could the same thing happen? It could. And he was still a good quarterback, even with those turnovers. I know he was a little underwhelming at the end of the day, the expectations, and, kind of let them down in that Niners playoff game. But, he could be about the same. But I don't think any worse. I think he could be better. I think it's realistic to think that, full season here for Dak, maybe playing a little pissed off. Understanding where he went wrong last year, I expect him to be better than where he played last year. So that's another big reason for the Cowboys there. But regular season, I think we could expect it around the same. Maybe an adjustment with the change at the in terms of the play caller. Obviously losing Kellen Moore, but maybe a little more built for the playoffs, which they needed. Can they get over that hump? And the NFC's kind of wide open. So they could. They could make a run there. So I have the Cowboys also at 12-5. So I do think the battles, since I had them both 12-5, battle between the Eagles and the Cowboys definitely will be fun this year. I think are going to be a little closer this year than last year, obviously. The Eagles, the big question is losing both coordinators. I mainly look defense, even though it's crazy talented over there. In the Cowboys, to me, is Dak, could he take care of the football? It's crazy how that last game was on, you can't put it on one person, but it was for the most part on Dak. And it's crazy they would have beat the Niners maybe if he played more like Dak Prescott that we know from the past years. So can the Cowboys get over the hump? The head-to-head matchups will obviously be huge between the two teams. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a battle. Like I said, I picked the Eagles to win the division last year. This year, this is not the video, kind of just the record predictions here. We'll get to my prediction, but it's definitely going to be a battle there. And those two teams, the Eagles and the Cowboys, could be the heavyweights of the NFC. I mean, there's other teams out there. The Niners get mentioned a bit, but the NFC, like how many legit heavyweights are there? I don't think a long list. I think it's a little wide open. So the two NFC East teams here could be the teams to watch, maybe in the entire NFC. For the Giants, I'm going to go 8-9. They went 9-8 last year. I think around the same. I don't think, there's always those people. So you're saying they're worse this year than last year. I guess by the record, yes, but every season is different. Every game, the matchups are different. The schedule does look harder here. So I think about the same. I think we could see them finish with that same record. And again, Twitter subs will get best and worst case, but I do have a better case for them, of course. And they could even be a little worse than this too. But again, I do have the schedule. I mean, I do think the schedule's tougher than last year. I ran through it, obviously, to come up with this record, and I don't really have them. That's the tough part here. I don't really have them being upset in my mind, looking at who's the favorite, who's the underdog in each game. I don't have them getting upset really at all, and I still have them just under 500. So could this actually be closer to the best case, like the 9-8, 8-9? I could see 10 wins, kind of spoiler, giving away my best case, but that is tough, And then last year they did have a lot of games where they kind of squeaked by, kind of things went their way, but they could do that again. Maybe they won't be in those squeaker of a game. Maybe they'll just put the team away or or maybe they'll be behind. They won't come back. I guess it could be on both sides there, but will there be as many of those tight games? I think we saw a lot of them early in the year where it was like, how did the Giants come away with the win in that game? And it doesn't mean because they came away with more of them last year, doesn't mean they just won't this year. They'll lose all of them. It's not really how it works. They could continue to be clutch at, under Brian Daboll at the end of games, or maybe they just put teams away this year. But schedule is a little tough. I think the main thing here with the New York Giants is Daniel Jones. I think that's the big thing here, because if he doesn't improve, he took a step last year. Remember that? He definitely did. Was he great? No, but he took a step. I think he has to take another step, some sort of step. If he doesn't improve, I think it almost kind of gets worse. And I've been saying that for quarterbacks for a long time, because if he stays about the same, teams are going to start, Brian Daboll, great coach, second year though, a little bit more of a game plan out there for the Daniel Jones-led Giants, a little bit more of an idea, of a plan the second year. So if he stays about the same and there's really no adjustments, I think therefore teams will properly game plan for him. Therefore it'll be tougher than last year. Therefore they could be a little bit worse, I guess, in the pass game, when it comes to Daniel Jones for the offense, I should say. So that's why Daniel Jones needs to take, not just because of the contract, because of how that contract looks. Yes, he kind of needs to play even better, because they didn't pay him based off last year. They paid him based on what he could become. So, but that's really not the only reason he needs to step up. He needs to step up so the Giants can step up, so they're not just staying the same and they're not getting figured out, because it happens. It happens all the time in the NFL. People forget. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. I think my prediction will be he plays around the same. So that's why I need him to step up to win more games. So that's why we're kind of in that range still. And you'd say, yeah, if he's playing about the same and teams are starting to game plan better for him, shouldn't they, will they even get those 8 wins if you're saying that? I think the defense actually would be better. The defense actually was clutch last year, helped them win some games, but I think a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau, who I have high hopes for, I think is going to be a phenomenal football player. He already kind of is. I think, he's going to step up. Could Ojulari stay healthier? That duo could be really good. Dexter Lawrence, led defensive line, that could be great, obviously. A lot of young players that can continue to get better there. I think the defense actually could be better, so the defense could win them games alone there. But I think right around the same range for them to get the 10, 11 wins. Daniel Jones takes that next step. That's what needs to happen. He takes that next step. I can see him taking that next step, and they still win like 9 games. So he's got to take that next step. What's going on with Saquon Barkley right now? I'd imagine he gives in. He plays, you would think. A little messy. Offensive line, I'm not worried about the tackle duo. I think, Andrew Thomas already proven. Evan Neal, I think will step up this year. The interior is what I think they got by last year. It wasn't good. It was okay. I think they got by somewhat surprisingly. So that's something else to look out for this year. Could that kind of be exposed a little bit, the interior? Not that it's going to be god-awful, but I do think they will be held up by their tackle duo this year. So I do love the coaching staff, so they could find ways to adjust if things aren't working. Obviously you can't stay the same there, but can they take that next step is a big question. It's really on Daniel Jones. Like I said, he has to take that next step, because if you stay the same, you kind of get figured out. It's easier for teams to game plan for you. So at 8-9, schedule is a little tough. Commanders, I was in the range of 6-7 wins. One with 7 wins. It just seems like a better team than 6 wins, but I do like Sam Howell. How much do I like Sam Howell from that draft class? But how much do I like Sam Howell? Is he going to go out there and win 8, 9, 10 games this year? That's the tough part. They do bring Eric Bieniemy, which is a good hire. I guess kind of a wait and see. So maybe they could be a tough game plan, because you don't really know. It's not the same Commanders team. We don't really know what they're going to throw at us, teams might say. It's mainly an early season thing. So I think it's very, very, very important for them to start off well. They have to start well. If they don't start well, and you can't judge teams off how they start, though, usually, because anything can happen early season. But this is one of those teams where they should kind of have the advantage, where it's tough to game plan for. You don't really know what to expect. So to me, how they start is everything. Like if they start well, honestly, it's not everything, because if they start well, it's like, okay, it's because the game plan factor. They're tough to game plan for, but teams are going to start figuring them out. So how will they finish? How will they continue on? How will they finish? If they start poorly, though, that's bad, because I think that's a time where they should win games. So I think that would be a big portion of a small portion of the season to start the season, like to tell us how they will be. And the defense will be solid. It's always a little underwhelming, but it also wins them games. It's pretty solid. How will that linebacker unit be? How will Chase Young be? Will he be healthy? I'm not worried about the interior D-line. Can Young and Sweat finally take that next step, I guess, is the question. Secondary, solid. It's not great, but it's solid. Again, the linebacker unit's kind of the question there. So, in any category, do they have a part of this team where that part will take over and will win them games? I mean, specific. If we're looking really specific, I love the interior defensive line, but do they have like a unit where it's like, all right, that will take over and will win them games? And I do like the running backs as well, but I don't know if they have a lot of that. And they do have great players. I mean, Terry McLaurin is there obviously as well, but do they have like a takeover portion of this team, to single-handedly win them games? Some of these better teams will have that. Like this group will pick up that group. Sometimes some teams have the offense, defense on, at the same time where they're going to win them games together. But if the offense is off, they have the defense. Defense off, they have the offense. But if everything's kind of not going well, at least they have those pass rushers that will cause a problem and that'll help them win games. Or, they have the dominant quarterback that single-handedly can win them games. So, that's where I'm at with like some, there's a lot of teams like that where they're kind of lacking, but it could the Commanders. I think a big thing is that pass rush. I think if Montez Sweat and Chase Young, if they stay healthy and they become finally who we thought they could become, and that's where that could be their kind of the trump card there, I guess, how they can win more games. So, but it is on, how will he be? How will this Eric Bieniemy offense be? But I came away with 7-10. I guess questions will be answered this year. Will they be looking for the quarterback of the future still? Where will the defense be at? Because there's been expectations in the past that they can be great, and they've had weeks when they've been great, but can they consistently be great? That they were better this past year, and the year before. So, so it's some similar records. Eagles, the Cowboys, same boat. Giants, Washington. I was pretty firm on the Giants being third, but somewhat close in record. But I was kind of with the Commanders. I was kind of 7 or 6. Went 7. Giants, I was 9 or 8. Ended up with 8. Now that their schedule was tough too, because I didn't have them losing in upset fashion, and I had them with only 8 wins. So that was a tough part there. I was not really expecting that. So that is my NFC East record predictions. We did the AFC East, and we'll have more teams or more divisions to go through as well. We're coming out with YouTube shorts along the way as well, kind of going over divisions, best players in the division, all division team. We did that for the AFC East already as well. So join us on our channel, like, subscribe, to notifications on. Anything else you're looking for, Twitter, our sponsors, Liquid IV, GLD shop with codes, links pinned in the comments. That's going to do it though. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.